Ah yes, every changemaker dreams of their social media post going viral, bringing in thousands of new supporters for their cause overnight. But we know in reality, nothing is ever that easy. Social media can be an extraordinary tool for gaining support and raising money for your nonprofit or social impact project if you use it effectively. Did you know that nearly a third of donors said they were inspired to donate to a cause because of something they saw on social media? Social media beat out email and websites and print ads and phone calls and even text messages in a recent study of which communication methods were most likely to lead to donations and other support. And if you've ever found yourself feeling grumpy because it seemed like kids these days weren't getting involved, know this. An entire half of Gen Z reports sharing causes or fundraisers they care about on social media once per week. That's compared to once per month for millennials or Gen X. Step up your game, fellow millennials. Tapping into the power of social media to rally support for your nonprofit or social impact initiative is what we'll cover in this 12th video in our Changemaker Cafe Fundraising 101 series. We'll cover major social media do's and don'ts, and even get insights once again from our friend Joanne, nonprofit fundraising and social media expert, whom you met a few videos back. As always, don't forget to download our fundraising series action guide at changemakercafe.com. And thank you to Click and Pledge for sponsoring this series. Ready? Let's get curious. Okay, so nearly 2/3 of the population of the world uses social media now. That's almost as universal as internet access itself. But nonprofits, social entrepreneurs, and other types of changemakers are competing against some of the world's biggest corporate brands, organizations, and influencers for the attention and connection that you need to move the needle on the problems that you've set out to solve. That means you've got to be thoughtful and intentional about your social media plan of attack. What you don't want to do is post randomly without a real strategy. It's tempting when you're growing an audience or developing a nonprofit's brand to try to post anything and everything you can on all social media platforms in the hopes of getting some traction. But you'd actually waste less time by focusing your efforts on a few key strategies instead. That's why it's important to start with a social media audit.
The very first thing that I want to do is an audit. So I want to dig deep into the analytics and see what has done really well. I like to look at shares, especially what are people sharing? Do more of that. I will develop a content strategy around what works and what doesn't. I mean, typically, yeah, it's pictures of people, real people, it's stats and stories, and that's what does really well. And then in terms of format, video is taking over everything. Even LinkedIn now wants reels, like vertical type short content. So just looking at your own individual unique nonprofit and finding out what kinds of content can you do.
If you already have social media profiles for your cause or organization, looking at your analytics and insights pages can help you get a sense of what your audience is really resonating with. And if you're starting a social media profile for your cause from scratch, try running a few experiments, like posting different kinds of content for the first few weeks, and then check your analytics to see which types of posts people are liking, sharing, commenting on, and clicking. All of this is really about understanding what resonates with your audience. Is it photos? Is it infographics? Is it personal stories? If something shows promise, try more of those types of posts to see if you can replicate the same engagement you're seeing on the original posts. And if you do, you might have a winning strategy on your hands. Speaking of resonating with your audience, in past videos in our Fundraising 101 series, we've talked about how to identify who your target audiences are in the first place. This is important because not all social media platforms attract the same people. What you want to avoid is copying and pasting the same content on all platforms in hopes of reaching the right people. Different ages and demographics use each platform most. For example, if you're hoping to reach millennials or business professionals, LinkedIn is what they're using most. How about that Gen Z crowd? Try TikTok or Instagram. Instead, focus on one or two platforms that fit your target audience and your specific goals.
Definitely Target, because Instagram is a completely different demographic than LinkedIn is. And Instagram has there's just a different way, lots of emojis, and you can do longer captions because you're trying to get that dwell time. Whereas LinkedIn, you're talking to more of potential funders. So you want to grab their attention. They want things like your impact reports on there. You can go into deeper stories on LinkedIn.
Different platforms also have different strengths when it comes to engagement. You might turn to Facebook for building community through groups or using their nonprofit fundraising features. You might use Instagram to tell compelling visual stories about your cause. You might try X for quick, real-time updates about something urgent happening, or tap into LinkedIn to share impacts and educational content to reach professional networks and other organizations. Once you've given some thought to your social media strategy and your target audience, creating visuals that will catch your audience's eye is key. Can you remember the most boring social media post you've ever seen? I'm guessing probably not, because you scrolled past it. And if I had to guess, it probably had way too much of one thing in particular. Text. Tiny text, tons of text, 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 text. So here's another don't for you. Don't overload your graphics with too much text.
I've seen so many things that are wordy and confusing and cluttered. So really decluttering anything that you want to put on there and just sticking to the main points. You can point to the caption for more information, but definitely declutter.
We have a real opportunity to inspire support on social media, and images can go a long way in helping us. In one study, including images in posts, especially positive images, resulted in much higher levels of sharing and engagement than posts without these visuals. That's why getting creative with visuals is key here. Now, it's true, sometimes in the nonprofit and social impact world, we can't or shouldn't share images of the vulnerable people receiving our services. If that's the case for your cause, brainstorm around how else you might tell the story of your mission or educate people on the problem that you're trying to solve using visuals like infographics or symbolic or representative images or even AI-generated images.
I've worked for senior serving organizations where we can't, and the seniors we worked with were considered vulnerable, so we can't post pictures of them. So we had to get very creative with what we shared. Tips for seniors, tips for younger people who have a senior they love in their life. Now with AI, we can do all kinds of stuff.
So you've got your strategy, you know your target audience, and you've got your visual post game down. What do you do after you post? I'll tell you what not to do. Something our friend Joanne likes to call posting and ghosting.
Posting and ghosting was the other one. So where you post a post and then just walk away from it and not do anything without any kind of engagement. The idea is that social media is social. And if you know how the algorithm works, it thrives on these interactions. So if you're out there interacting on other people's posts and interacting within your community, then they'll be interacting back with you, which helps expand reach.
Instead, make a plan to check in regularly with your audience. Respond to commenters, thank them for engaging, and engage with other pages too.
One of the number one things I teach when we start going into social media is go out, find as many as you can of like organizations. It doesn't even have to be in your local city, but just find like organizations. Go through and like them. and see who's liking and commenting on their posts, and then comment on those. So it's not as creepy as it sounds, but you're kind of creeping their stuff to find out who their audience is and interacting with them so that perhaps they're going to come and join your audience. That's a great way to get started with growth and engagement.
All of this is great, but you might be thinking to yourself, okay, Amber, but how does all this work on social media actually lead to donations to support our amazing cause? The truth is, turning your social media pages into well-fueled fundraising rockets doesn't happen overnight. As we've talked about throughout this Fundraising 101 series, you've got to have one thing going for you before your fundraising really starts taking off, and that is trust with a capital T. Be careful not to expect people to donate without building that trust first. As you're building up your social media content, focus on posts that share impacts, that tell real life stories, that share little peeks and behind the scenes of how your social impact efforts operate. All of this can paint a picture for people that helps them understand why supporting your organizations with donations is so important. And then you want to create a low barrier to entry for those donations. You might not be asking for huge donations on social media. The idea is to convert fans and followers to first-time supporters. Then build your relationship with those donors through other types of engagement, online or offline, after that. What kinds of support should you ask for? Start small and specific, maybe items or small donations, or asking people to purchase something from your organization's shopping wish list.
I like to give them a low barrier for entry. So something like an Amazon wish list is perfect. It's around Christmas time. You might need something for your nonprofit, for the people that you serve. Maybe it's coats. You're low on coats for people that are unhoused. Something like that where they can take action without spending a lot of money, I find really works best. That seniors organization I worked with, anytime we put out a call to action for a senior who needed something, we had people donating in droves because it was they could see that connection.
Once you ramp up your fundraising efforts, you'll need a fundraising platform that can not only collect donations, but track them and keep your donors engaged, like the sponsor of this video series, Click and Pledge. Click and Pledge's comprehensive fundraising platform is great for nonprofits ready to raise money and grow their impacts. Their robust fundraising features include donation forms, in-person fundraising features, text to give, peer-to-peer fundraising that allows supporters to form teams and raise money in their own networks, video fundraising with donation links embedded directly in those videos, donor outreach tools to improve donor retention, a complete Salesforce integration and other integrations, and a lot more. Here's the thing, some platforms are going to charge more based on your organization's size when it grows, but not Click and Pledge. The pricing is going to stay the same, even as your donor list increases. There are no contracts, and all of their solutions are included at no extra cost. You can learn more about Click and Pledge's fundraising solutions and get your first month free using the link below this video. Get in contact with their team to ask questions, or you can schedule a demo or sign up to give it a try right now. Find the links for all of that below. In the next video in our Fundraising 101 series, we're going to talk about how not to break the law by accident while fundraising.
Not that you'd ever do that on purpose.
But we're going to put the fun in fundraising compliance. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss it and all of the other lessons in our series. And I'll see you next time for the next episode of Changemaker